Oh, my mic was unplugged. There we go.
Yeah, but so the reason that Ken Hovind backed out of his debate with Conspiracy Cats was he couldn't run his script. Conspiracy Cats was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. This is the specific subject. None of this is related.
What was the subject he was willing to talk about?
Well, obviously they were talking about evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he wanted to talk about how many different types of evolution, like galactic evolution, planetary evolution, this
chemical
and that,
evolution.
Exactly. Conspiracy Cats is like, no, we're talking about biological evolution. It is the only thing that is appropriate.
Oh, I watched someone sent me a video from him because I know about Conspiracy Cats, but the video, and it's funny because we talked about this earlier, where Hovind mentions change in allele frequency, and I think Conspiracy Cats asked him what an allele was, and he fumbled through that so horribly until someone sent him a message with a definition of it, and then like 5 minutes later he reads off the actual definition. But man, that was a beautiful video.
Yeah, Conspiracy Cats is a great guy. He is an actual science teacher here. He educates at secondary school level, and his wife is a mathematics teacher, and he does all sorts of things as well as just taking the mickey out of people. He also offers tutelage to teenage children whose parents can't afford private tutors, and that's how he runs his what's it called, Patreon. Because people said to him, get a Patreon. He's like, I've got nothing to offer. And then he was like, well, actually, hang on. I can do this. So through Patreon, he basically gives really cheap, like one-on-one and at large group tutelage to children. He's an amazing guy.
That's good. I like that. I like him even more now. Yeah. So if like this guy this guy who's a Kent Hovind, or I call him Hovindites. He's a Hovindite. That's the hard thing, because they can repeat his lines, but they know even less than he does. So there's going to be two parts to every good debate, any good discussion, and you'll see this. There is the actual having knowledge on the topic, how your mental acumen as far as your bulk of information that you bring to bear. The second part is your ability as an interlocutor to get out your message in the most salient way possible, and to not necessarily point score, but to make yourself sound as confident and as steadfast as you imagine you are, or even better.
I know that's my problem. I imagine myself as useless, and I'm pretty bad at it sometimes.
So
that's Hovind's strength.
Yes, he can sound real good.
His confidence is his strength. He is so confident, and that's what is convincing people.
Again,
because
man, it goes from real
he
life
can
to
he
the
can
internet.
rattle off his shtick just like that. And if you want to counter someone like that, you have to have the same ability. You have to be confident. You know what you need to know what you're talking about. You have to be as confident as he is. Otherwise, there's no reason to go against someone like that.
So the reason I would struggle to debate someone like that is I can't let things go.
Yep.
And you have to ignore so much that's wrong, so you can pick on the bits that are worth fighting.
Yeah.
There's an easier way, Dave. If you want to confront Hovind and you really want to make him sweat, then give him that evolution isn't true and divert the topic to have him defend his point, because he can't do that. He has no facts. He has no clue what he's talking about. So if you narrow it down to his side of the conversation, you've got him cornered, because all he has is his script against evolution. He has never defended creationism anywhere. He has no means to defend it.
But is he not just another? It's a book. It says in this book.
Yeah, no, he has a faith that the creation account is true. Like that, he'll default to that. A really good debate that kind of embodies what Peter was talking about was the debate that Negation of P had against true empiricism, where and I hadn't thought about this, but Negation of P granted everything that true empiricism brought to bear. And for me, that was like, that's counterintuitive. Like, we're fighting over that. Why would you do that? Because negation of P figured out something as he was doing a little bit of research. True has no step 2. He doesn't.
No.
He can't do it. He claims he can every single time, and it's funny to listen to negation go, no, I agree, I'm granting that. No, I'm granting that. And he kept repeating it because all True could do was to try and poke holes in evolution. And he was flustered. He had no idea how to actually respond. And it was amazing to watch in real time, because it's like, it's a simple tactic, but man, was it effective.
Yeah. And you'll see him disintegrate live, because they have nowhere to run. They can't just Google answers during a debate. It's impossible. So you'll have them cornered.
The exact topic of the debate is... Hold on, I'll read it out now. Converse contender. I've got an up-and-coming Christian that wants to debate on does God exist. I need a non-believer that is relatively new to debating, if you know any.
So
there's no opening thing. It's the debate is there, how can you have a debate on that?
That's way too broad, incredibly broad. Because if he's an evidentialist, then you can kind of like hone it down into, so what is the evidence, or what would be the evidence if a God existed? But that's like, that can go in so many different arenas, right?
If he's a pre-supper, then you're going to get nowhere.
Right. Drag, you're in my Discord. There is a channel in there where we are sorting the debate. I would appreciate your input, and you've now got access to it. It's called debate sorting.
Debate sorting? Okay, yeah. I'll see if I can grab Sokka too. Because we were trying to give Carlton some feedback on like one of his recent debates. Because I was watching one of Carlton's debates, and I was like, man, he's picking up my bad habits. I think I said that so I was like, he's really picking up my bad habits. Because there's certain things that I do in conversations just to be a dick, and it's because I'm trying to progress the conversation in an area, and I'll purposely be antagonistic. But it just comes off as me just being a passive-aggressive asshole. Yeah. So I give you an example, and I've talked about this before. Like there's how you have the conversation and like your bulk knowledge. Sokka has a technique. It's very similar to mine. I call it the Sokka ambush. Sokka will let someone talk at length about whatever they want to, and then he'll slowly interrupt them. Oh, hold on a second. And as soon as you hear him say that, he is ready to kind of unload on an issue that he has thought about for like the last 5 minutes. And he does talk for quite a bit of while, but he's expounding upon one single point that someone has made a gross conceptual error in. And people generally don't know how to combat that, because his one contention will have several layers to it. One of the things that I like to do is that I'll ask a close-ended question, because I feel that someone's bullshitting me. And so when they give me a bullshit answer or an indirect answer, I'll cut them off purposely and say, no, it was a yes or no question. I need a yes. You can expound afterwards, but I would like a direct yes or no first. And so each time they give me a bullshit answer, I cut them off sooner and sooner. And that's to build anxiety. And so that's one of the things that I saw kind of Carlton kind of doing. But
I like that idea though. I missed that as well.
Yeah, so there's different techniques that you develop. Like Darth Dawkins does it. It doesn't matter. Like he'll cut you off because he wants to put you in a position, right? But the reason I do that sometimes is because they're starting to bullshit me, and I don't like that.
Watch the earlier shows I did with fucking Richard. Richard's sister actually got to the point where it's like, Robbie, you're on an average of 90 seconds interrupting Richard. Every 90 seconds you interrupt him, can you just stop? And I was like, okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, so I try not to interrupt people unless they start bullshitting me. But Sokka doesn't. Sokka has a different way that he sees conversation. Any conversation is fluid, and you can interrupt anyone at any point in time. You can do it to him, but for me, I like you to get out at least in the first 10 minutes, get out the whatever points you want to. After that, I'm not going to sit and listen to a spiel when you've already fucked up at a very basic concept. So It just let the person know on at the very beginning of the conversation, hey, is it okay if we interrupt one another? Because afterwards they'll bitch and whine and moan about it.
Yeah, and some people don't want that, as I mentioned earlier. If Darth does want to come back on, and I would like Darth Dawkins to come on at least one more last time, I have to promise to just not moderate or sit in the background and be quiet.
I can ask him for you, because today I set up debates with Jill, Veckel, Darth Dawkins.
Oh, you're
and
really scraping.
I already had messenger reveals. So.
Artie wants some of Jill. Artie jumped on the other day. Did you see this, Dragnon?
Yeah,
Jill
I did not see
actually
it.
reviewed that.
So
fucking
here's
thing.
the problem. I'm going to ask Artie if he wants to give up his place, because earlier I was on Jill's channel, Robert joined, and then Lilith joined, and Lilith wasn't let in because she's a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, guess who's going to be
He'll leave. That's
my co-host when Jill comes on.
But that will not improve the conversation. That will end the conversation, because you know he won't speak to women. So bringing a woman in, as much as
He's on my channel. He'll have to
leave.
Yeah, well, if that's what he wants to do,
That's
what he wants
will
to do.
That I'm telling you now, he'll leave. He will not talk to women. So having a woman on will mean that he will just leave. It won't forward the conversation. It's a like a dig. It's like, right, you won't talk to women. Here's a woman. Boom. He's an asshole. Bring him on. Let him make a fool out of himself. That's what I did.
Yeah, so I'll have to. We are democracy, so there are 4 people on the channel, and 4 people get a voice, and what the majority decides, that's what it's going to be.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. That'll be a short interview.
Have a backup plan. But yeah, this kind of goes into one of the things of know your opponent. And I've gotten on Skylar about this, and Nakasuchi is like, look, y'all have similar dispositions as I do. Like I don't like dealing with bullshit, and I try to call it out. But if I know that I'm bringing, someone sensitive. If I'm dealing with Darth Dawkins. If he can't have complete control over someone's channel, he's not going to be there. So he's already precluded himself. And so that's something that you have to be cognizant of, and that people like Naka isn't going to have more people on his channel if he just rages on them and then boots them, and so that's going to hurt the channel.
Have you seen the debate that Darth Dawkins had yesterday with Chris the Atheist Pastor?
No, I did not.
So he stuck around. He stuck around until the end. He lost dearly. I have to say, Chris did an amazing job in
I did tell
trolling
him
him
before it happened that
to the point
Hinduism
where he
wouldn't work.
was about to leave and then taking it back a notch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a skill. That's a skill.
yeah, that he did a
Yeah.
brilliant job. So that if people want to learn how to counter Darth Dawkins, they need to go and watch that debate.
Yeah.
And I'm
Question I wanted to ask you as well, Drag. I hear you used to be a tanker. Would that be right?
No, definitely not. I was a combat mate. Nice try though.
What brought you into the army? That is one thing I did want to ask you earlier that I didn't get a chance to. Was it the financial situation, the skill, the discipline, or what brought you into the army?
So most of my family, at least the males, all do some type of military service. So I was intending on joining at some point in time, but after I was, I dropped out of college for the first time, and I really didn't have much of a direction other than working for Home Depot full time, which is a pretty much a hardware store.
Yeah.
My wife was pregnant, with my son, and like we were living, hand to mouth. And I said that I can't raise a kid like this. And so I said, that was a pretty good time to join the army. So I got fairly high on my GT score for the ASVAB, and I had a slew of jobs that I could do. And they were just reading off jobs, and some of them, needed a top secret security clearance. And I wasn't sure if I could get that because of my student loans. So I just went through secret. So, look, combat medic, that sounds badass. So that's how I became a combat medic. But the He said the discipline involved. Was that one of the questions?
Yeah, but, like I wouldn't go so far as saying army brat in the American term, but my father is what we called over here territorial army, which some people call part-time army, but it's a reserve force for the troubles and things like that, you know. So if shit gets real, or if they have to get taken away, like my dad did do a 1.5 year service, 2 tours of Iraq and 1 of Afghanistan. You know, he.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he has done that thing, and I have a bandana actually that hangs from my car that came from Afghanistan with all his regiment badges, and everybody in his regiment came back home alive, and all that's good. And yeah, so I would consider myself so much of an army brat, and I find with that discipline that you get with that is very beneficial.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. So my mother did not serve, but my stepfather did, because he was a Vietnam vet. Hold on for a second. And so the household that I was raised in was definitely military oriented. Just as far as showing up before it's time to be somewhere, like at least 5 minutes beforehand. Interestingly enough, the yelling, the yelling, the screaming from my banshee of a mother far surpassed anything that I encountered in basic training. That's why it never really bothered me. And then I told my mother afterwards, and she was like, "Wow!" Like she was kind of taken aback that it never bothered me, because it was like, my mother yells louder than this. Like this is nothing. So that was kind of an interesting experience, but it wasn't much of a culture shock for me, because I'd already been somewhat raised and around that type of, I guess, environment or culture.
Yeah. Keep yourself clean, keep yourself tidy, keep your room tidy. There's a discipline there and a respect that goes with it. Not to say fall in line and get in with the hierarchy, but there is a sort of respect that is given to your elders, and a respect that is given to your military leader, or whatever you want to call it. There's a reason for that, though. The respect isn't just immediately given. You find out that respect is deserved.
Yeah, and then that's something that, that's kind of foreign to folks who aren't really used to that mindset, because you can come on the internet and pretend to be whoever you want. And occasionally you'll find that people will come and put on airs and pretend to be, quite sophisticated, when in reality they're not. And I find that hilarious. I find that ultimately amusing to almost a perverse point. But yeah.
No, I can get what you're coming with.
I went the other way. With the military. I was brought up in a military family, and I thought it would be perfect for me. And I joined the military, and I was like, very quickly, after like 8 or 9 months, was like, nah, it's not me at all. I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's no shame in that, though, because I do give people shit sometimes over that, but it's not. It's really not. Like, for me, it was an experience, and that's kind of how I couch it. Like, it'll stay an integral experience to who I am as a person. But long term, I don't think that I'm mentally cut out for that, because I like being able to be judged based on the merit of my knowledge, my work, and it's very much so kind of a popularity contest when it comes down to, at least in the American military, your competence isn't reflected by your rank necessarily. So it's like, I'm not going to be impeded because idiots who are not even a fraction of intelligent as I am or capable are going to hinder me.
Well,
Part of my problem was I was judged by my family standards. Like, I joined the military, and my platoon sergeant, my commanding officer, and the commander of the whole base, like, they all knew my old man, all of them, and I was constantly judged by his standards.
Yeah,
like, difficult, man, difficult.
I can imagine. Like that's a really unique experience, because there's a few people like that. Like, they were the kids of lieutenant colonels and generals and shit like that, and so, man, they had it rough. Because some folks who were jealous, and other folks, especially the cadre, like, they held them to a higher standard. Like, you should know better. You should be out front. You should be leading. And it's like, I'm just a motherfucker. Like, I'm like everybody else.
And saying that, man, from a personal point of view, where my dad was in, I think it was warrant officer at the time, and the boys were having the dinner before they all go out. A couple of nights before everybody flies out to have a big meal and a dinner, and they drink the bar dry and don't pay any tax, so everybody ends up very, very drunk. And like, I'm not obviously now anymore, due to reasons because of the army. I look back at it and yeah, they could have paid my education and reasons, but the respect that the lower boys gave to me and my woman at the time purely were because we were my father's, you know, family. Like, you'd walk up to a door and they would step out of the way purely because of that. And we have nothing to do with the army anymore at all. Like, because I was standing out the back smoking joints. My mum was like, "You can't smoke joints." It's like, no, they make room for me at the door. I'm smoking a joint. Fuck them. Yeah. But I can see where they're coming from. The higher up you get. Yeah. Well, I did a week's worth of work experience with the army. I was going to head down that route, and then my dad ended up cheating on my mum with a woman he met because of the army, and leaving then because of it. So I hated the army because of that. You know, it was too much drink, and he ended up meeting this woman and then ended up leaving, and it was from the army. So that's why I hated the army. Looking back at it though, the army is a very good discipline, especially over here in UK. They will pay your education. If you join them to a certain point, they will cover your education up to university level. So plus you're getting wages, and you don't use your wages because they pay for your food and your accommodation and everything. So you can leave with no debt and a nice saving.
Nowadays, it's actually taken out of your wage at source, so you still pay for it.
Still, you don't use it.
It's taken out of your wage at source.
Whenever you leave educated in the army, you're still in a better situation than when you leave fucking Queen's University just being a student. Definitely.
Yeah, that's the one good thing. I like seeing other military do that. Like, if you're gonna put your mind and body on the line, you know what? At least pay me, and you know, get some education or something out of it, so that I can try and have a somewhat quality life afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the one area that the British military and the American military differ is junior command structure. So like between corporals and sergeants in the British Army are paid a living wage. They're paid enough money that you can live on, you can have a family on, you can go through your entire career on that wage. Whereas the American military don't pay their junior ranks enough. So consequently, all of the good soldiers want to move up to higher ranks. All of the bad soldiers get shipped out. So your junior command structure lacks that level of experience. There's no substitute for 20 years experience in a junior command level, which the British military has. That's the one area where our military is slightly better than yours, just because of the pay.
From a personal story that my father told me, Bill, and I think I mentioned this to you as well, they were doing specialised training for when they're out walking for IEDs, because obviously you've got your APCs and they can protect against the people out walking, but when you're doing foot patrols, and they were doing training on how to find them and use the equipment and all, and the British military was doing extra training because of them spare time, and he offered it up to these places up to the American military, and the guy in charge of the American order or the unit at that time says, "I know it's grand, I've plenty of men." That was his response.
Oh, real quick, someone just said this in the chat. They're out to watch AXP. I will be back on AXP, and April 5th.
April the 5th.
That's excellent.
Nobody's going to be watching that because we're all going to be at DaveCon.
Yeah.
Well, no. To be fair, it's the Sunday night, isn't it? So we will be on. We'll have got back by then. We'll be on our journeys on the way home.
Yeah, I suppose we probably would be curled up on the sofa at that stage with a blanket, feeling sorry for ourselves for all the stuff that Dave's put us through for 2 days.
Yeah.
We're not leaving until like 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, half six is my dream.
Apart from the people that live really close, none of us are going to be home.
Well, I've booked everything but the flights.
Well, hopefully there's something to offer there other than just the, atheist debauchery that I hear about so much.
Well, at the end of the day, man, there's a group of us that I've booked an apartment for. Dave's included, Bill's included. There's a lovely lady called Sadie. There's Nerdy Rodent, if you've seen him about. And we've all booked an apartment in the Tower Building, or around the corner from the Tower Building, just around the corner from the venue. It's a really nice place, and if anything, it's an excuse to meet people that you've been talking to over the internet, who I would consider friends. And buy a pint, have a smoke, have a bit of crack, and just get to know.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing, because somebody was like, DaveCon? What the hell is DaveCon? I was like, oh, David Worley. Okay, so he has his own convention now. Oh, well, that's new. And then like some of us were talking because it's like I've been to like Free Flow. I'll be at Faithless Forum like next month, and it's like I'm not huge on conventions. I actually really don't care for them, but I go there because I know folks want to see me, and there's a few folks that I kind of want to meet.
I
Just
love
hang
your
out.
confidence. Everybody wants to see you. You don't want to meet anyone. They all just want to meet you.
No, there's a few people I want to see. There's a few. I'm not big on crowds. I'm not big on like groups of people I don't know. And people who have met me in real life, will tell you stories, about. But one of the things that stays consistent is I just feel uncomfortable.
Completely 100% agree with you, man.
Yeah.
I would marry my woman in the morning, but we did have this discussion, and she wrote down an invite list, and it's over 300 people long, and it's nothing really to do with the money. It's when you walk into the room and there's 300 people staring at you. I'll trip over my own feet.
It's like I don't know any of you. It's like, who are you people? So that's my issue. But other than that, I usually stay. I'll find a nice kind of open area, probably near a bar, and I'll have a drink, and I'll sit down and talk to people. And that's what I enjoyed about the Free Flow convention I went to in Florida a few months ago. Was that I would sit down, and Arn would be next to me, or Matt would come next to me. We just have a chat and some drinks, and then there's some people who kind of found out like what I do, and so they started asking me all type of science questions. So I'd sit there, and someone has a recording of me pissed drunk, and I'm talking about like microbiology, and they said it's the funniest thing in the world because I had to get up and go pee, and then I came back and I had to like redo everything that I just said because I got something mixed up. And so I'll have to find that recording to show people. But evidently it's pretty funny.
Careful, G-Man doesn't get a hold
funny.
of that because he's going to use it against you.
Yeah.
Oh, he can try.
Is it your G-Man impression that you re-uploaded? You just re-uploaded your G-Man impression. I watched it whenever you found it a couple of months ago, but you've just re-uploaded it again, and it is. You look like you've had far too many amphetamines or coke or something, man. You.
I thought it was great, actually.
It's great, yeah.
And I don't know what's up with G-Man, but now he has you behind him. I mean, is he still praying the gay way? Because he has a picture of you that's I think probably 10 years old, because
it's about 8 years old. Yeah, that picture is when I was still in the military. I was in California. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the first time I saw that picture. But that was one of my early videos. One of the most watched videos on my channel is the Cowardice of G-Man. That video that he took that still from was a few videos like after that. And so he had taken that one ages. He just kept it. I'm like, okay, bro. All right.
Yeah, so there
just
must be something
really
because
Drag.
You're wearing clothes in that one.
Yeah, about 100 pounds lighter. Yeah.
That's unusual.
Drag, just as a random thing, I don't know if you are the heist master, but I've been trying for ages to get the Streamlabs bot to work. I have it switched off in Streamlabs OBS, and I actually downloaded it, and it's switched off, and tonight when you come in, someone as a joke did points, and the fucker started to work. I don't even know how it's working, because I've switched it all off, but yeah.
I have points. I do nothing with the whole Streamlabs bot, and I still have points.
The reason I wanted it was to track the actual people who come here, not for the heist function or any of that. Although they seem to be enjoying it, but it's nice to know who turns up and who's your regulars. People like Remember Sammy Jenkins has supported me from the start, and he is also my only Patreon. That man's given me a whole $6. He is wonderful.
So when the bots start acting up, just turn them off and turn them back on. Like that's the best way I could tell you when they start acting up, and they're temperamental. So that's really all I know.
I've left it alone for over 2 weeks, man. I haven't touched it for 2 weeks. I give up and actually reached out to Nerdy the other day going, man, can you give me a hand? And he was like, yeah, dead on. And then tonight someone did points as a joke and it just worked.
Yeah, turn it on. The folks will have fun with it. But somebody had a G-Man question or something. I forgot what it was a few minutes ago. Oh, I think it was about the recent videos he's been making about me.
Yeah, it's just creepy seeing you on a picture behind him, knowing that he still needs to pray the gay away, and you behind him in the setup that he has.
So
just-
me and Nate have talked about that in the past, and me and Nate, where it was kind of joked about this before, kind of off air, that G-Man may be vicarious. He has this habit of when he sees you in person, he likes to touch you. And I'm not going for the groin, but like he likes to touch arms and shoulders and elbows and stuff like that, and get really close to you. And so, coupled with the things that he says online, it's pretty suspect. And we do think that he thinks that straight guys just kind of all of a sudden throughout the week think about like other guys sexually or romantically. And I don't think that he realized that that's something that usually gay guys or bisexual guys do. So he has to pray the gay away because he thinks, well, this is just kind of a regular thing that all straight guys go through.
Yeah. So, but I do worry at times. So if you watch his videos and see what he does, and he goes on a rant and then is quiet for a few seconds, and then there's this weird laugh.
The forced laugh. Yeah.
So something is wrong with G-Man. It just has to be. There's something up.
If you ever for whatever reason encounter him in real life, within the first few minutes you notice there's something off, and it's quite clear that there's something right wrong with him.
Yeah. So the last time I talked to him was on Veckel's channel just before he booted me. But G-Man booted me. He was asking for the controls so he could boot me.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I seriously, I said, you live in the US. You walk in the middle of the night. You walk in a park. You're screaming like hell. There's going to be a time when someone comes up with a gun.
Well, that's true. So here's the issue. People in his neighborhood know who he is. Like, if it was me, if it was you, any other person where, you know what, we may know a few people and a few neighbors, but at large, folks don't know who we are. A lot of people in his area know who he is.
I tell everybody about my channel in real life. All my cousins know about it. All my family knows about it. My people at work know about it. The guy at work has started calling me MathPig because he heard a recording of even my wee girl running around the living room going, MathPig! MathPig! So he started to call me MathPig at work. I don't give two flying fucks. Yeah. Go and watch what I'm about.
You don't go out in public and screaming into your phone to someone who isn't there that you have an issue with.
No, but God the Good One did hang out of his window at one stage and scream to a group of Muslim people, sub to MathPig on YouTube. And it's like, man, you can't shout that to Muslim people. They don't like pork. Which was quite funny, but yeah.
But so even he's different from G-Man. I think to me it's just disturbing to see him walking around at night in a park, hiding in some bush or seeking shelter near a house where there's a light that people can see him.
It's normal. That's how
the lion suit just freaked it out for me, man. The lion suit was it. That was it. Like, it's. I know he was probably parodying, but that was it. The man was crazy.
It just pure foolishness. He thinks it's creative. Like, he thinks that's what normal people do.
Yeah. So earlier today he did a stream and he said he was talking about his ministry. He doesn't have a ministry because every single stream, it's either about Drag and the Dragoons, or it's about the Black Hebrew Israelites.
Don't forget about Shani for Christ. Are you not subbed to all his channels? There's Shani for Christ stuff in there too, man. Get up to date.
I'm subbed to 2. I think that's more than enough. Crazy for me. I'm subbed to 2.
So when you're talking to G-Man and he says things like that, you have to understand that he has his own kind of like lexicon that he works with. So when I hear ministry, I think of someone who's preaching the word of God, and they're trying to convert people to Christianity, and there's a message out there. G-Man's personal qualms with people are his ministry. That's how he couches that term.
Yeah.
So so you can contest that, but that's what he's going to work with.
Yeah, a while ago you did a stream where you said that G-Man has his own definitions. You specifically mentioned slavery, that he has his own specific definition of slavery, which includes employees.
Yes. So
basic employees. And so I had noticed that before. He has a couple of words where he has his own definition, and no one can convince him otherwise. He's got the right definition.
Well, he purposely phrases things like that. He wants to define it like that because it fits his conclusion. There's no other reason for him to do that other than, well, he has a conclusion he wants to get to. He thinks that he can outsmart everyone. So if he can just convince you of his definition, which doesn't really fit, then G-Man wins, and that's the mentality that he uses. And so that's why having nuance is something that he's going to skip over anytime that he's engaging in this topic. But even interestingly enough, when you talk to him about having like the understanding of the Bible, you'll notice that he doesn't actually care what the original words were, Greek, the Hebrew, anything like that. He will purposely ignore those because he hasn't researched it, and it might say something different.
Yeah. And I have to say, one stream I enjoyed is where you gave him $10 to get something to eat, and I forgot his name. Gave $6.66.
Oh, Xavier, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the very next day he went on a stream and said, "Drag doesn't care. I can starve."
Yeah.
He paid you dinner last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
he was expecting $40, and you gave him 10. That was.
Yeah, well, I do stuff like that because you know what? He's an asshole, and he's just completely reprehensible. But the guy does need to eat, and that stream alone, I had gotten quite a bit of money. So I said, well, it'd be shitty. Like, I am technically, he's the catalyst for all this money. Let me break him off a little bit. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah,
he's also not always.
And he wasn't looking good at the time.
It's very rare that he's not, but occasionally he's not. I think if he could get rid of all his bullshit, I think deep down underneath there's actually quite a nice guy in there. If he could just get rid of all his
I think he feels threatened by everyone. The moment he realizes that people aren't there to threaten him or to win something, because if you're in a conversation, it's not about winning, it's about having a conversation. That's a lot more important than who wins and who has the best points or whatever. The moment he realizes that people are not there just to attack him, because every single conversation with an atheist he goes into, the atheist is already his enemy before the conversation even starts. There's no way to find some common ground to at least have a decent conversation. It's impossible with him, and that's what's holding him back.
Everything with it. I think it's Metallica at the end of it. I know this, you can say whatever you want. Metallica, nothing else matters. Having an open mind is the only thing that matters. That's one of the lyrics in the song. Being open-minded to other people's points of view, being able to have that conversation with other people.
And you don't have to convince each other. My best friend is a Christian, and we talk about religion a lot.
Yeah, my best friend's a deist.
I'm never going to convince him that his God doesn't exist. He's never going to convince me that his God does exist.
My girlfriend's a Catholic. My girlfriend's a Roman Catholic from Ireland. My daughter is a Catholic from Ireland on paper. Hopefully she'll have a bit of sense. But I'm banned from talking religion with my woman's auntie. That's not allowed. Other than that, it's a get-go. It's all free. It's fine. But
yeah,
it makes no fucking difference.
You have to understand, G-Man he has a few I'll call them basal assumptions about people in general, but especially atheists. It doesn't matter who he's talking to, doesn't matter how cordial it seems. There's always a few things that he is going to always carry with him. One of them is that all atheists at all points in time are lying to him.
Yeah.
And then lying to themselves.
Drag, I don't.
And the more cordial you are, the more dangerous you are, because now you have an agenda. You're nice to him, so there's a hidden agenda. There's something you want to get at.
I wouldn't expect you to know this, Drag, from watching many of my streams, but I don't. But anyway, I'm in Ireland. I'm in Northern Ireland, and my mother even sent me to the point of a church that was cross community. I learned to drive properly by the son of an IRA man, and I'm a Protestant. I shouldn't be associating with these people, but that's the way I was raised. Cross community, building bridges. Don't judge people by the label that they have been given. Get to know the person themselves.
Yeah, that's something that is a experience that some people have. I've learned that throughout life, during cultural, racial lines, and that's not something that G-Man is really used to, because where he's from is fairly homogenous, and it's largely Christian, largely Black Hebrew Israelite, and that's pretty much it. Like, you don't find atheists where he is. He didn't actually encounter atheists until he came on the internet, and this had been 40 years of him staying in that area of New Jersey. And so that's something that, you talk about being open-minded and having these shared experiences across different walks of life. That's not something that he's used to. And so when people talk about that, he thinks that there's some type of trick, because that's not something that he's experienced. And so when he encounters people who are nice to him, such as those of us who paid for him to go out and do this, that, and the other in real life, he doesn't understand that that doesn't give him leeway to do anything and to say anything, and that no one's going to go, hey, you know what, that's not cool, bro. And so it's an interesting expectation that he has for people who he considers friends, and that we kind of found out that if he puts you in that category, if you're nice to him and you're then his friend, that also means that you are his enabler. And so that you could, if you exchange the word enabler with friend, it makes much more sense.
Yeah, the man has problems, but yeah, there's no but after that. I think we're just end with G-Man has problems.
yeah, there's a full stop.
I don't think there's like there is a phrase there. I would say there's a certain, like, my stepfather is a very awkward man. He's what we call over here a culchie, but takes no bullshit. He'll tell you to go fuck yourself if you're an asshole, same as myself. And from that, people expect him sometimes to be who he's not. Oh, I want him to apologize and do this, that, and the other, and like turn up with flowers in a basket. That's not what Tommy's like. The fact that he's talking to you again, that's an apology. You can't expect people to be who they're not. Yeah,
and then I can respect that about folks. Like, you know what? If this person's stuck in the ways, then I'm just like, it's fine. Like, they're stuck in the ways. That's how they communicate. That's how they deal with difficult situations. So on and so forth. But I think that people get the wrong impression that there is this one size fits all manner in which everyone is supposed to deal with everybody, no matter who they are, where they're from, and that's not the case. Like, you don't use a hammer to build a house, right? You use a hammer amongst other tools, so you find the one that's most appropriate.
Yeah, it's not like the man won't do what you ask. It's just you have to approach it the way that he's built, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. No, some guys, like, you have to. They'll be very abrasive. Even I guess people call it bullying. Like, they'll approach you in that manner, and if you don't stand up to them, they won't respect you.
That's
exactly. I had a commander like that.
I had a situation at work, Drag, that I've mentioned on stream a few streams ago, and there's a young lad at work who is just turned 18, and he's in this business that I work in. It's like a mechanic, sort of tire and lazy mechanic sort of work, I'm doing it 20 years. I'm hoping to go out on my own next year. I'm doing this with my eyes closed. And he's 3 months in the business, and he started to get to the point where he was telling me I was doing it wrong because he was trained differently. And I told him to shut his mouth. I warned the manager of the business. I warned the general manager of the company. I was like, he's going to catch me someday where I'm fucking hungover or having a fight with a girlfriend, and I'm going to go at him. And one day that happened, and he wouldn't. I was just like, Tiernan, just go away. Just leave me alone. Shut your mouth and fuck off. And he wouldn't. And 2 minutes later, he was pinned up against one of the machines by the scruff of his neck. I didn't box him, but I threatened to take him down the back with a bar and just walk back up again with the bar, and not him. And that completely cleared the air. We have, like, he fucking bought me 2 breakfasts since then. You know, it's completely cleared the air. That's the only way that the man sort of understood.
Yeah, and that's how some people operate. And then that's what I find interesting about when people sometimes don't like the interactions that I have with people. And it's like, yeah, some of them are more contentious than others. But if you watch how I engage people, what you see out of my response or reaction is completely contingent upon what someone gives me. And some of the best conversations will be from people who are on their best behavior. You know, some people who can laugh at themselves and laugh at others. And it's not, me trying to treat everyone with kid gloves, because I'm not going to do that. I don't do that for people in real life, so I'm not going to certainly do that for strangers on the internet. And some people have a hard time understanding that, just because someone said something that could be taken in an insulting way doesn't mean that it was meant to be an insult. In fact, that's how some people bond, and it's getting that across to people who are a little sensitive is difficult.
Yeah, some of my best friends that I have in real life, we actually started off with as absolute enemies. Because, not to say we're going to fucking... On the whole, boys will be boys and changing of things as we go through culture, but that's the way it was sometimes when I was growing up. You end up with the best friend that you completely disagreed with. And you punched each other, and then you fucked each other off, and then you sat down and had a conversation about it, and things got sorted.
So I'm in with a chance.
Oh no, we're not discussing Discord. I would kick you, only it would ruin my scene. God has actually just turned up, Dragnot. I don't know if you know of God the Good One. He lives in Yorkshire, over in England.
He's a Yorkshireman.
Yorkshireman, yes.
Indeed he is.
And very straight up, very honest. He has a video on his channel which is called YouTube is Not Real Life, where he sits with his guitar and talks about how people can, like, there's a picture of your bags at the door and it's like, yep, your wife just kicked you out. This is real life. YouTube is not real life.
Yeah, no, that's something that's an adage that I've found myself repeating quite a few times.
Yeah,
but
God the Good One, you're a
it
moderator. Find that link, find that fucking video, put it in the chat. Everybody here needs to watch that video is very important. YouTube is not real life.
I agree with you. Like, I would say that I absolutely agree with you. But as I found out, and as some of us have also found out, some people make it their life. Some people, for some weird reason, they start to kind of identify with their online persona, and it becomes who they are. And I've watched someone go through that, and it's very fascinating, because it's like you playing your favorite RPG game, and you start to identify as that character that you created in this virtual realm, and it is absolutely fascinating and also scary to know that can happen to people.
Right.
To me, it's kind of funny because
question for you though, right? Do you have an online persona, Drag? I don't think I have not met you in real life, so I can't confirm this. But you don't have an online persona. I don't feel like I do. I don't think that Peter does. Dave proved himself the other day because he forgot something that he'd already told someone to prove how he is in real life about his memory, and they were like, "Yeah, you've already told me this." Bill's the same. I don't think anyone here has a persona.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone here. But no, we're gonna.
I don't even have a fake name.
Yeah, no. But no, my name. I had
I
started
am.
this channel like for something else. Like I think it for gaming or something. So I use my gaming name for this channel. But people know my real name. Like I don't hide it.
Yeah.
I just thought Steve McRae turned up in the chat, but it's not. It's Steve McRae's manager.
No, it's
Yeah,
the
no.
it's the manager.
Yeah, no, he doesn't go in chats where I'm at. So no, you're not going to find him here.
And
But,
he's also not going to go on a chat where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well,
Dangerous person.
hello. Nice to meet you, Steve McRae's manager.
Yeah, but it's no, people you can ask folks who have met me in real life. Like I like the exact same, minus certain other issues like what I have with large crowds. Like I have a big audience, that's one thing, but being in a crowd like we talked about earlier, 300 people, like I'm like I'm not feeling this. So no, the Dragnet that you see here is the same one that you're pretty much going to get in real life.
And there's God just put his video link up
Good.
in the chat.
YouTube is not real life.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet, man, God's generally due a watch. His streams are very boring. He drives around in his car. He goes to McDonald's and get coffee. But the shit that he talks about is real. He takes no bollocks. And it's generally, this is me. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
He has a strange face though.
He has a strange face. He sent me out cards that
Online. He does have a persona on YouTube.
Yeah, he sent me out cards that says, "You've just met God from YouTube. Please subscribe," with a picture of his face with his mask on. And I generally go to play parks, get a cup of coffee, and leave a wee card underneath it.
Since we're at it, and I haven't pissed anyone off yet, so we just discussed that people, whether or not they have an internet persona. Currently, we have 2 floating heads in this live stream, so I'd say.
No,
And
how do you know
you're-
he's not
you're-
a floating head?
See, triggered.
This is me. My name is Robbie, and I'm from Northern
Blame it on the
Ireland.
camera, MathPig. Blame it on the camera.
I am Robbie, and I'm from Northern Ireland. If anyone's got a fucking problem with me, look me up. I've got 2 Twitter accounts, loads of emails, lots of channels. It says in every description about me that if you've got a problem, come and get me. You want something to talk about, come and get me. Come and get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that IRA comment I'm pretty sure didn't go unnoticed. So yeah.
On the other hand, there's the other floating head, which isn't. If you've got a problem with me, sod off.
Fair enough.
No,
Just
Dave's
stay
cool.
on-
Dave's
stay
one
on
of
the
the
ball,
nicest
Dave.
people you'll
Stay on
ever
the
meet.
ball.
And the best of it is, Dave will forget all the bad things you say about him because he's got memory problems. So he'll just continue to do good things for you because he thinks that's the right thing to do.
So he doesn't know that he was on a stream with me last night?
Oh no, we're not taking advantage of him at all.
I was on the stream with you last night. Yes. I remember.
See?
I had forgotten.
I know, he wrote it down. Oh,
Dave has a real fan now. An actual fan.
Dave has a green screen set up where it is literally his head floating.
Yeah, Dave has watched too many Harry Potter movies.
Right. Well, we've been going for nearly an hour for the after party. I'm sure Drag's got better things to do than sit and talk to an Irish prat, a Dutch man that doesn't understand fucking Discord, a cripple in the corner, and a Viking wannabe in the other corner.
I would enjoy it, but I do have to be a bit more productive today. Gotta get the family something to eat, and
good.
go do some more studying because grades aren't going to get themselves.
Drag, I appreciate you coming, man. You've given me 2 hours of your time, and in the back scene, and not the back door, Dave, behave yourself. You've been very supportive, and dumped me in the deep end, but that's always good.
Yep, yeah, man, not a problem. If you need some help with just like general knowledge, like you got science questions or philosophy questions, feel free to ping one of us, man, because there's a Discord full of folks who
Yeah, I'm
don't
still a
mind helping
hatchling
out.
in your Discord. I had Holy Spackle on and she didn't fucking upgrade me, and now I've had the pretend owner. Come on, fucking upgrade me, bitch. I'm still a bloody hatchling.
Okay, yeah, let me talk to them about that because I actually don't control stuff. In
Yeah, I
my
know, it's all
Discord.
Spackle.
So it's a team of people there. Like I make edicts, and it's like, yeah, is that a good idea? I don't know. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's chat about it because
Yeah.
All right.
No, really, a lot of appreciativeness to you, man. At the end of the day, you're cocky, you're smart, you're you, you're honest, and you take no shit. And I appreciate honest people.
All right, awesome, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for being one of the people keeping other folks honest, including myself.
Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, I say it as it sees. I say it as I see it. And if you're an asshole, I'll tell you.
Yeah, awesome, awesome.
Best way to do it.
It's the best way to do it. If you don't like me, you can fuck away off. And on that note, I'll say everybody, thanks very much, Maya, God. I'll probably still be going and having the crack offline, but it's not worth streaming this because we're just going to talk shite for the rest of the night. But hit me up on Twitter if you want to
mention
talk more.
Doorknob Head. He's always here. So
Don't give Doorknob Head the satisfaction of saying that.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Doorknob Head. I've been
Doorknob
for a
Head
long
named
time.
me. Every time you mention his name, I have to point out that I am called MathPig because Doorknob Head named me. Did you know that, Drag?
No, I did not
Did
know
you know
that.
my original name was Math Magic Pagan? The reason being, as you said, people like to put people in pigeonholes, and I don't like it because it makes pigeons easier to shoot. So math being a love of science, magic being shit I don't understand, pagan being I ain't a Christian. That was my pigeonhole I made for myself, and Doorknob Head shortened it to MathPig.
Yeah, and I took the name MathPig, and then Dave shut my artwork down because it had actually math in it.
Yeah, no good. We don't do math in this. We talk shite and roll about in the mud.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right.
All right.
On that,
Huh.
everybody, thank you very much for turning up. You're all wonderful people. I have no idea why the bot's working. It'll probably not work next time. But on that, if you just want to keep the crack going, hit me up on Twitter or Discord. We'll do it behind the scenes. Talk to you later. Bye.
Later.
Bye.